Alrighty, welcome back to the big board. Taking a look at Valour of the 13th. It's a lock and load expansion for Bitter Harvest, which is at print or at the printers, I believe, and getting ready to be shipped from the Kickstarter and all that sort of good fun stuff. So the guys from Lock and Load were nice enough to send me a little preview copy of this. The version I have here is not the final product. There's a couple of maps in it. One's a significantly larger map that's folded up here. I was told that this was glued together. It's two sections glued together, but for the life of me, and I'm not going to open it up in front of you guys. I'll show it to you later. We'll do some sort of shrink wrap thing maybe. But it's not glued together. It's one single piece, and I know this particular map is one single piece as well. You'll note that this is obviously significantly larger than the standard lock and load tactical map. This is an X map sized map, but it's also bigger than a standard map, right? I'm sure there's a description in here somewhere of what the map sizes are in the box somewhere here, but we'll deal with that later. Wanted to talk about the scenario more than anything else, because I figure the best way, rather than me just doing a shrink wrap, is to let's just jump in and play, right? Now, Valour of the 13th is somewhat unique in that it introduces the new optional advanced armor rules, and so we're going to play with those and without those. So we're going to do it both ways. I'm going to roll for resolution, and we'll see what the difference is in the outcomes, first of all. And then secondly, I'm then going to I'll do another video, and I want to do a comparative against Lock and Load Tactical's advanced rules, compare it to Panzer, and compare it to a couple other tactical games that I have floating around here. So this particular scenario is all set, is all set around hill 253.5, which is, I guess, this hill here. And the battle goes to and fro, and a lot of the scenarios are built around this. And then obviously there's some for this monster map here, and the scenarios are big for the monster map. We can have a talk about those some other time. This will be the first of a handful of videos that we'll do on this module. So you need Heroes of Motherland, of course, for all the counters. The module, the expansion brings 20 counters to the game. There's a bunch of T-34s, a KV-1, a couple of Tigers, stuff like that. All the rest of the counters are information counters for the, I'll show you, for the new advanced rules, right? So all those guys end up on the map at some point. Well, not all of them, but as we need them, right? So scenario: thinly held defensive line by the Germans. You could take a single Tiger, or you could take two Stug 3Gs, or two Panzer IVs. Given that the VP ratings for kills give 3 VPs for vehicle kills, I elected to take just the one. So that would be beneficial to the Germans. As I set up, I looked at the terrain, knowing that where all the Germans are also looking for VP kills, as are the Soviets, and as the Soviet player, we want to also exit units for VPs. So I've set up this chap here in a crater. I really can't start. I'm waiting on an answer back on whether craters confer their terrain modifier and what that terrain modifier is. I don't seem to see it in the rules. It's assumed, based on what I'm reading, that it gets the same benefit as you know what? Maybe there is a rule here that I can look up in the core rules for craters. It says core rules 10.55, 21.2, 21.6. But I was going to say that the craters receive the same terrain benefit as a terrain modifier as the trenches, which is a +2. +2, +1, depending on what it is. So I need to check that. So other than that, so that's why we're going to put this guy here, couple of supporting squads to it, and also including a little anti-tank weapon here. You can't really read that very well, but it's just a Panzerfaust 3. There's too much backlight. There you go. So you can see that there. Well, you could see that there, except that we're not getting the focus. Fuck it. Don't worry about it. All right, pardon the French. Here we go. And then I've set up an MG42 backfield with a long range, so we can shoot this way, shoot up to this ridge line. And this is where we've made a mistake in our setup, is that we have forgotten that, with these height elevations, and I assume that's what these are, these height elevations as we go up the hill, I'm not going to be able to shoot deep into here. So none of these guys can shoot back in here because, as we will remember, the line of sight is going to block, in that sort of pancake mode, it's going to block shooting back here. So our spread out defense, trying to make sure there's no end around runs this way or this way, has a flaw to it. And the Soviets are bringing 6 T-34s and 6 squads, which are mounted on those T-34s. That's a mandatory start position. Come on the map anywhere on the south edge, which is this edge here. There's another fold underneath here, but this is the map edge here. And so I can schuss right along here up to about here or here without being in line of sight of anybody, which is nice. So we can get a really nice start on our 7-turn scenario, getting right up to here, potentially even here, unloading units into trenches, and then we can start taking pot shots at these tanks, this tank and these chaps here once we spot them, if we spot them. Or I can just draw their fire with this, sacrificing a squad, pushing them up adjacent, right? By coming in from this angle here, I'm also going to be pretty much out of line of sight of this MG42, which is the big nasty on the map, right? So got 3 firepower. So I think one of the first things then the German player is going to need to do is probably bug out of this location and try and pick up another site that is going to be more beneficial. We wanted to be shooting at the T-34s at range because we have a significant range benefit and to hit benefit with the Tiger. Although if we use the optional size rules, because the Tiger is so big, the T-34s are going to get a -1 DRM on their die roll to hit for these guys, right? So it almost becomes a wash in terms of the structure of both sides trying to hit. So that then means it's going to come down to an armor capability. And obviously the Tiger's armor is significantly better, as is their penetrating shot value of 8. That's gonna slice like butter through any of the T-34s, and they're the only units on the map, right? So, and we can see that here. I've got them laid out here for you guys. So we've got a whole turret, 5.4 armor from the front, and then the up to range 6, they need an 8 or less to hit, and then for a from 7 through 13, they need a 6 or less to hit, and their penetration is 5 and 4, right? So with a frontal armor of 7, 8, we're looking it's going to be pretty tough to try and crack those guys. Now, obviously, there's a D6 that's rolled with each of these when we go through this exercise, but we'll also be doing the advanced rules, which will tweak things a little bit as well. All right, so just a little bit of a long video. I really just wanted to talk about the tactics here, but so I think we're going to bring the Soviets in on the right-hand side here, try and push up to this ridge line, take out the tank for 3 VPs if we can. This guy's obviously going to pivot to present his front side. That'll be one of the first things he does in his activation, because I was looking at covering this flank more effectively, I guess, or just in case, right? So we'll push from here, and then it's going to upset the German defense, and they will need to potentially pivot and come this way. Or maybe I only bring in half of the Soviets here, and I bring the other half in here and keep these guys locked in place. That's another option as well. All right, quick little tactical chat. Talk to you soon. Once we get this crater TM resolved, we'll be rolling some dice and hitting it. Talk to you soon.